giving you the real from A to Z surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. News, updates, rumors, transactions, takes, and more. So strap up, Cowboys Nation, and start your day off with A to Z Sports. Live with Will Steele.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. Good morning, good people. Welcome to A to Z Sports Live, presented by your boy. Streaming live on YouTube, we on Facebook, and of course, I am your host, Will Skywalker. Still, we back, baby. We back. It is Tuesday. Appreciate y'all for being here. And in this Tuesday edition of the show, we're talking about the Cowboys defense facing the top 5. I'm ranking the top 5 aerial attacks this secondary will see. I already got an issue with my list, but it is what it is. We will talk about whether it's just right, too high, or too low. Plus, in the roundup, a national outlet, they gave the Cowboys 3 veteran free agents to consider. We'll take a look at that. We've already mentioned a couple of them, actually, but we'll talk about it a little bit, man. And then we'll hit the lines. 351-999-3787 is the call-in line to speak your mind about what we're talking about today. All right? But appreciate y'all for being here, Bomb Squad. What's goody?
Bomb Squad!
I was, Vic. I had an issue with my own damn list, and we'll get to it. And honestly, right off the bat, I got an issue with my own damn list. But I do these sometimes. I put these type of things together to honestly get feedback from y'all to see how y'all feel about it as well. But, when you're putting these type of things together and you dive into the teams now, during the season, we will dissect everything about the opponents. Y'all know, if you've been around here for the last couple of years, you know how we do. We look at the offense and defense from top to bottom, every little nook and cranny to find out how the Cowboys can get an advantage. This one is more general. We're not necessarily diving into super specifics, but we're mostly talking about the talent that these aerial attacks present. We're not including offensive line. So let me go ahead and put that out there right now. We are not talking about the offensive line. We're mostly talking about the weapons and the quarterbacks, a little bit mixed in with the scheme as well. So should be a good show. Should be an easy show. I appreciate that, Dallas Cowboys hard hitter. I did fly out to the East Coast, came back. A lot of traveling. No vacation, just a lot of traveling over the last couple of days. But we are here, and I believe I'll be here for most of this week. Again, I'll keep y'all posted on all of that. Toxic Tom. Hold tight, brother. Hold tight, because they actually are. And that might be a part of my list where I'm a little bit conflicted. So stick around. 5 teams, top 5. I'm ranking my top 5. I want y'all to judge it, and then you can give me your top 5 after everything is said and done. With that said, let's hit this roundup and get into the works.
It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It's time! It is time for...
It's time for the morning roundup. Round 'em up, boys.
Hey, yo. Bleacher Report dropped a list of 3 free agents the Dallas Cowboys should consider. That was the name of it. And off the bat, the first guy that they listed was Shelby Harris. And this kind of goes into the whole thing where national media, I don't necessarily think they really know the Cowboys. You know what I mean? Like, they go for the low-hanging fruit type of situation here. And the next one is clearly that, but kind of makes sense. But Shelby Harris, I don't get this one. Shelby Harris is about 32 now. The Cowboys are not in a need for a 3-tech. For whatever reason, they talked about run defense when it came, and that's not Shelby Harris's game. I just don't agree with that one at all. You went out and got Mozzie Smith. You re-signed Jonathan Hankins. You have Osa Odigizua. You still got a plethora of other guys behind them. younger dudes. So I don't agree with Shelby Harris. No. The second one, actually it was the last one, but I'm going to start off with the second one. Ezekiel Elliott. For obvious reasons, right? Former Dallas Cowboy. A lot of national media do not believe in the Cowboys, and fans for that in general do not believe in the Cowboys running back room. And he presents a aspect of the room, the Cowboys don't have right now, or have confidence in. Cowboy fans don't have confidence in right now, and that's the power game, right? But we went into detail on this, but Ezekiel Elliott is the other guy that they mentioned. And then finally, for me, the third guy that makes the most sense that I've been talking about since the season ended last year, and I found out he was a free agent, is Deion Jones. In my opinion, the linebacker room, to me, is more questionable. And here's why. In the running back room, you got a Pro Bowl running back. You got a guy who's been a part of a tandem before in the room. And in my opinion, you got a rookie like Deuce Vaughn who you can use as a satellite type back. And it's the running back position. So you can get by with the committee approach from the running back position. Linebackers, we saw last year, when two of your veterans went down, wasn't much behind them from an experience standpoint. And even this year, LVE is there. A lot of people still aren't high on him anyway. And he's your only really experienced guy. So I'm all in on the Deion Jones situation. Add more experience and depth and talent to that room. You can never, ever, ever have too much of that. We love a DeMarvion Overshown, what he can bring. Kind of positionless right now. But again, I don't think you're hurting him by bringing more proven guys like a Deion Jones to learn from. LVE is there. And then obviously you have Damone Clark. And that's the thing, right? Like Damone Clark, if you say, well, I don't want to progress stop Damone Clark, fair. How about this? Instead of saying I'm signing Deion Jones to start, I'm signing Deion Jones for depth, and I'm going to have him compete. All right, Damone, you competing with Damone. Or you can say LVE is competing with Deion Jones. I don't care. But more competition, the better. I am not about protecting feelings in 2023. I'm about trying to do what's best for this team to get to the NFC Championship game, Super Bowl, and win the Super Bowl, right? With young players, if they get beat out by talented veterans, then they just get beat out by talented veterans. That's just how I'm looking at it. They still got time to develop and whatnot. I would almost rather, I don't want to use the word risk, but sacrifice a year of development for a third stringer to try to be better in the now. That's just where I'm at with it. The Cowboys have went on this all-in type of approach. So why not finish it off, man? Why not finish it off? So Deion Jones is the best one to me on this list in regards to adding to this team. And if I'm being honest, a second, I'd go Zeke and then Shelby Harris. I don't even know why he's on here. I don't get it. But if you had to pick one of these three, Cowboys Nation, which one would it be? I know a lot of y'all are definitely on the Zeke thing here. So I wouldn't be shocked if most of y'all would say Zeke. But for me, I'm going to go Deion. I'm going to go Deion Jones to help bolster that linebacker room that really has no experience outside of LVE, who is a hurt guy, right? Like, I don't. And then this linebacker, some people would say linebacker is the running back of the defense. Sure. But I think running back is the running back of the NFL. Like that position, you can argue with me all you want. I'm going to believe this until it changes. You can throw a rookie. You can throw a third string guy in there and you can get by and have a productive rushing attack. I know that sounds like I'm diminishing running backs to an extent. Yeah. But if you are better than that, then those guys hold more value. But that's just the position of the league, man. So I'm not really tripping about the backfield until they give me a reason to trip. But I'll take Deion. Nikki believes Zeke will come back and fumble. I mean, that's a bit of a cynical way to look at it. He didn't fumble that much last year. That is true, Nicholas P. His goal line touchdowns didn't lead the league, but led the league in carries. Yeah, I mean, again, goal line, short yardage back, Ezekiel Elliott is top flight in that. And the blitz pickup. We talked about the good when it came to him. That's all fair things for sure. For sure. Swain, DJ, Big Dallas, Jones, Professor O, Dion, pass on the other two. What's good, Tony Montana? Most people are on Jones, some on Zeke. Everybody seems to pass on Shelby Harris. Yeah, David Jenkins says, what about kicker? Kicker is definitely a position of need. And on Friday, I said that my hot take was that they'll sign Robbie Gould. I don't know if they will, but that was a hot take for that day. But that wasn't part of the Bleacher Report's top 3. All right. So let's get into my top. But it's top 5. Let's go ahead and switch the subject here and get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Okay. We're going to go through 1 through 5. And I want to ask you guys if it's too high, too low, or just about right as we talk about the aerial attacks from each team. We did this last year for rushing attacks. We did the top 5 rushing attacks. This year, I kind of want to go all around. I might bring back the rushing attacks, but I might also switch to the defense side of the ball. When I was putting this together, there were so many things I had to factor in, right? The quarterback is a big one. The weapons, likely the number one thing. But the quarterback plays a lot in that because you can have all the weapons, but what if what is it, Zach Taylor or whatever? What's the kid's name over there in the Jets? What if it's Baker Mayfield or some throwing you the ball? What if it's Zach Wilson? What if it's Zach Wilson throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson and Tyreek Hill, right? Does it really matter? So you got to factor in the quarterback, how the quarterback played last year, the system that maybe these guys are in or getting in. And then obviously the weapon. So when doing all of that, Cowboys Nation, I came away with my top 5. And I want to get into number 5.
Number 5.
Let's do it. That's actually number 1. So we don't want them. Y'all already seen that. We don't want number 1. We want number 5. My bad, y'all. Boom. Number 5. The Seattle Seahawks. And here's why I have Seattle at number 5. And already my list, I'm like fighting myself because there's a couple other teams above them that I feel like they might be able to have some competition with there. Seattle, now they're returning, in my opinion, one of the most underrated duos. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett. These guys are super underrated, man. You can see their statistics. They'll be listed underneath all these guys. Tyler Lockett might be one of the most underrated wide receivers, period, in the entire National Football League. And DK Metcalf is just a beast. He can take over a game or a series, and I've seen him do it. But they added Jackson, Smith, and Jigba to come and play into the slot. And when we were studying the draft and doing the mock draft, I kept seeing Jackson Smith and Jigba getting mocked to the Seattle Seahawks. And I'm like, man, if they get him, that, in my opinion, might be one of the most well-balanced trios of wide receivers in the National Football League. You got your power, you got your speed and quickness, and you got your route running guy out of the slot. But the only reason why I probably have them at 5 is because I don't know if Geno Smith can replicate what he did last year from an efficiency standpoint. And it was fantastic. And honestly, I could be underselling Geno, or I could be underselling their offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron. Now, Geno Smith is no young pup. This is a dude that's been around the league for a long, long time. And now he's getting a shot to kind of be a guy over the next couple of seasons, over multiple seasons, I should say. And Shane Waldron tapped into something with Geno Smith. He made things easier, and then Geno rewarded him, I think, with that Pro Bowl year. But when you look at their offensive coordinator, I think you can see why he was able to tap into Geno. This is a guy that comes from Sean McVay's coaching tree. He was coaching under Sean McVay, I believe, all the way back from Washington days. I think I could be wrong there, but I know he was under McVay for 4 seasons in LA with the Rams. And while being there, you can see some of McVay's concepts from a passing game standpoint with Seattle. So this is why, everybody that says anybody that's rubbed shoulders with Sean McVay, bring him in. I mean, it's a joke but it's also for real because his concepts make things easier for quarterbacks. And what happens? Geno Smith gets his first shot with this type of talent and that system, and he goes for 30 touchdowns, 11 picks, 60 QBR, completed almost 70% of his passes. I believe number one in the league. Again, that goes back to scheme, in my opinion. Geno Smith is not known as a precision passer, but Geno Smith was put in a situation with guys like DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and a system that creates easy opportunities for him. And that's what it's about as an OC. You want to make things easier for your guys, not more difficult. So I've got Seattle at number 5 here, and I'm already fighting this. Too high, too low, or just about right. And if you guys need to get a little bit more of an idea, here's what the schedule looks like. A couple teams we'll talk about when all this is done. But I got Seattle at number 5. Too high, too low, or just about right. This is true, Andrew. The system, 100%. Can y'all hear me? Check. All right, we cool. Ooh, that was if I went through all that and y'all couldn't hear me, boy, I'd have been pissed. Let me fix some things over here. My bad, y'all. Give me a second. Boom, boom, bang. All right, I think we're good now. Let's see here. Just right, Captain America. Just right. Aaron Andrews, cool. Don't trust Geno. Just right. Yeah. I think this is what's going on, Colin? What are you talking about, bro? Yeah. All right, let me get back to this. So Seattle Seahawks, number 5 here. And when it comes to the matchup for the secondary, I actually like the matchup. I think the Cowboys match up pretty well across the board here. We understand that Diggs doesn't mind the size with guys. I think Lockett's going to be an issue for a lot of people. But again, when you get Stephon Gilmore, man, I mean, I just feel confident about him matching up with a lot of dudes. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba in the slot against Duran, anything but Bland. I mean, I like the matchup for sure. But this is a very, very respectable Seahawks passing attack. And I feel weird about it, to be completely honest, because of Geno Smith, man. Geno Smith came out of nowhere last year. Can he repeat it? Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's not as good as he was last year. But I do think that Waldron is going to put him back in position to be solid again. So that's number 5. Let's get to number 4.
Number 4.
Again, this is where my list starts to get a little weird. The Buffalo Bills. Whoa. Josh Allen, man. Top 3 quarterback, right? Stephon. Absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Since being traded to Buffalo, Diggs and Allen have been as prolific as any quarterback wide receiver duo in the league. I think the number 1 duo in the league for a while was Rodgers and Adams. Diggs and Allen is just as prolific. He's got like 29 touchdowns and 4,000 yards since he's come over to Buffalo. So it's really not about Diggs and Allen as to why I have them at 4, which in a top 5 is technically considered low, but over a 17-game season is not low. It's because what's behind Diggs isn't as deep as maybe some of these other teams. In fact, I'd argue they might not even be deeper than the Seahawks. But the difference is Josh Allen compared to Geno Smith, right? But this is no knock on Gabriel Davis. I think Gabriel Davis is a solid receiver for sure. Big play guy. He didn't get a ton of receptions last year, but he came up big for them in the playoffs a couple seasons ago. But he's a big play wide receiver. Averaged like 17 yards per reception, 7 touchdowns on 48 receptions is pretty good. Didn't crack 1,000 yards, but he's a guy when the play breaks down, Josh Allen's looking for him. So when you're talking about the Bills' weapons, I think you have to factor in a guy like Dawson Knox. And again, we're not discounting the tight ends either. It's just some of these teams don't necessarily need to count on the tight end because they got ridiculous weapons at receiver. This team, though, I think you have to count in Dawson Knox. Dawson Knox is not going to be a guy that is giving you Kelsey numbers, 1,000 yards, 900 yards, but he's a red zone weapon. 15 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. He's a guy that they're looking for in that red zone. So I would throw in Dawson Knox in this mix. But because of Diggs and because of Josh Allen is most of the reason why I got him at 4, to be honest. And it still feels low because of how good Allen and Diggs are. But honestly, I think it's about right. So too high, too low on Buffalo, or just about right. Too high, too low, or just about right. Hard to ignore the Diggs Allen connection, for sure. I ain't ready to put in Kincaid just yet. He could end up being Jason Kelsey. I don't know, right? I have no idea. But I don't know how he's going to fit there. We'll see. Because Dawson Knox, that's a dude that gets you 15 touchdowns in the red zone. He's obviously going to be a part of this thing, but I'm not ready to include Kincaid to the point where I'm pushing them up, if that makes sense. Now, if Kincaid goes out there and balls out, then obviously they climb this list. But we'll see. Rookie tight ends, y'all know the story, right? Y'all know the story. They don't fare well in their rookie season. Just about right, it looks like a lot of you guys are saying here. Let's get into this chat. Just right, just about right. All right. Thought a lot of y'all might have an issue with this team being at 4. Yeah, Slim, I know they got your boy Dalton Kincaid. That's your man crush. You love Dalton Kincaid. Why are you pissed that they took Kincaid, man? We will be fine. We will be fine. Okay? Dalton Kincaid is not changing nothing for Buffalo, dog. Nothing in year 1. He is a tight end. He's just a tight end that's detached. Mark it down. How much you want to bet the Buffalo Bills passing attack will not be too high or too lower because of Dalton Kincaid? He'll just fit in and they'll still be what they are. This isn't a guy that I don't think this is a guy that's going to step in year 1 and be Travis Kelce, man. We got to relax. Exactly, man. This guy's not some generational dude. He's a good prospect that came out. He's going to a team that has a Diggs as a number 1, and he'll fit in as a 2-3, and he'll be fine. But he ain't somebody I'm tripping about, and nor should you be tripping about, man. Good Lord. What we doing here? What we doing? Let's get to number 3.
Number 3.
I'm gonna let this sink in for a little bit here. I just want to see the first few names that pop. The first name that pops up when I talk about the LA Chargers. They're tricky. This one is tricky. They got all the talent. Honestly, when you actually look at the guys behind their top guys, they got some dudes. They got all the talent in the world, man. Keenan Allen, Justin Herbert, Mike Williams, that's probably their big 3. We know what Keenan Allen can do from a route running standpoint, one of the best in the league. Right? Mike Williams can out physical you across the field. And then they added Quentin Johnson out of TCU. So they pretty much got a basketball squad out there. And then behind them, you got like Jalen Guyton, who's been productive over there. We know Jalen Guyton. Josh Palmer, who's been productive over there. Tight end Gerald Everett's no slouch either. They have a really solid group, like 1 through 5 or 6 if you count the tight end. They've got names. They've got talent. And then you got Justin Herbert throwing the ball. One of the most talented arms in the league. Threw for almost 5,000 yards last year, 25 touchdowns, 10 picks. Actually took a step back in the touchdown department. And his QBR was around average. But they're getting Kellen Moore. We've been laughing at Kellen Moore, right? But in all honesty, I think that they'll actually produce big numbers. I do. I think they'll produce big numbers under Kellen Moore. It won't necessarily be about that. It'll be about, has Kellen matured? Has he matured as a play caller? If he's matured as a play caller, then things may get better for them in the crunch time or whatnot. But in regards to pure numbers, if he's bringing over that number system, this is going to be bombs away. Bombs away to these guys. So I don't think it's a lack of talent for the Chargers. And then obviously you factor in the quarterback. He's one of the most talented guys in the league. Arguably, when you look at Keenan, Mike Williams, the young buck Quentin Johnson, Jalen Guyton, Josh Palmer, and Gerald Everett, I could stack them up with those other teams below them for sure, which is why I have them actually above them. But LA at number 3, I kind of battled with it because of guys like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams being hurt guys. So I had to tell myself, are we going to do this project projecting injuries, or are we just going to do the project as is? Because Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are almost guaranteed to get dinged up. And that becomes a problem. If these guys are both out, it's an issue. We saw it last year. If one's out, it's an issue. So Chargers at number 3, too high, too low, or just about right. This one feels like some of y'all might actually move them around. Might move them around. That's actually a damn good comparison, Oscar. Keenan said Keenan Allen and Mike Williams equals Kawhi and Paul George. Always injured in the same city, no less. We'll get to that, bro. Because I got a couple teams I left off this list because I don't think they're as deep, but they have the quarterback or they might have the system. You talked about the Jets. I don't think and I know they went out and got Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb and things like that, but I don't think the Jets have they're as top heavy as some of these other teams. Aaron Rodgers or no Aaron Rodgers? Too high, too low on the Chargers. The LA Crow routes. Stop it. Bills over Chargers. I couldn't do that because I do like the Chargers depth over the Bills, but the Bills have that 1-2 punch. That's fair. They have the 1-2 punch, but the depth, I couldn't do it. Well, we're not talking about offenses. Whoever said Brees or Andrew, we're talking about the wide receivers. Here we go. Willie T, too low. Ooh. Which brings me to number 2.
Number 2.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
I ain't scared of you, mother.
I actually battled with this one, with them going to the top. And obviously, y'all know who number 1 is. Y'all saw it. Or actually going below. They could have been between 1 or 3. Or right where they were. Between. I decided to keep them at 2. And here's why. I think they've got one of the most balanced big 3 receiving weapons in the league. Between A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, I think they complement each other very well. And then the third leg, Dallas Goedert. He's that underrated X factor for those dudes who, if you want to talk about the Travis Kelce types, that is a Travis Kelce type. He's a guy that's going to get you 700, 800, 900 yards probably a year as long as they want to. And he can do it from a screen standpoint, slip out, get downfield. He does yak things. So I think you got to include Dallas Goedert in this. In fact, he was a 3rd leading receiver on the team while missing games, by the way. But when it comes to their receivers in general, A.J. Brown, I believe, rated as the number 1 or top rated wide receiver on slants. And that's because they run the RPO concept at nauseum. And they run it well. I ain't going to lie. They run it well. I think they cheat a little bit. They get away with it. Because when they run an RPO, they've got linemen downfield and they get called for it once every 10 games. But it is what it is. And he also can do some damage downfield. Jalen Hurts improved his downfield passing, and it was evident with A.J. Brown. Those guys connected deep a lot. And then you got Devontae Smith, who is forming into one of the top, 20-ish receivers, and I think sooner or later he'll be in the top 15, top 10. He's a good receiver. He's a really damn good receiver. He can pretty much do it all. He can hurt you downfield. He's a smooth complement to AJ. Really good hands, can route you up. Just slight, but the league nowadays, it doesn't really matter if you're slight like that because of the rules. So from a talent standpoint, again, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Jalen Hurts, if he continues to improve as a passer, which he showed some improvement last year, this is a pretty lethal passing attack. The thing, though, is, again, we get into the offenses, they do most of their damage on the ground to open up the passing attack. So if you say, well, I'm going to knock Philly down a couple slots because they're more of a running team, that's fair. That's fair. That's 100% fair. But they still did a lot of damage through the air, which ironically, only 22 passing touchdowns from Jalen Hurts, but 18 of them, or at least 18 reception touchdowns from Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Here's where it's going to be interesting, though. Shane Steichen, when he took over play calling duties halfway through the year in 2021, you saw the Eagles start to play towards their weapons, right? Nick Sirianni didn't do that. Well, he's gone now. Shane Steichen's gone. Brian Johnson, a guy we talked about potentially coming over here being a quarterback's coach, is their play caller. He'll get a first shot at it. We'll see how this goes. Now, he's been with Philly for a few years, but he hadn't called plays. So we'll see if he continues the things that Steichen did, adds on to it, or they regress offensively. But from a talent standpoint and what I would imagine schematically is not going to change much, this passing attack is going to be difficult for the league to deal with. Cowboys, I think they can handle it. I think we match up really well. I think A.J. Brown, Trayvon Diggs match up well. I think you got Stephon Gilmore can match up with Smith, and we saw what Bland can do against Quez Watkins in the slot. Give me that rock. We'll see if Mr. Brian Johnson is able to make things easy as Shane Steichen did for him. We'll see. So too high, too low on Philadelphia and their passing attack, which, I mean, look, man, I hate them all. I want to hate them. But between A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert, that was one of the most productive trios in the league. They stacked right up there with everyone. And I hate to say it. Toxic said, this is who our defense is built to stop. So our defense is built to stop. Okay. Sugar Daddy William said, I like Philly's O. Okay. So is it so just about right, I guess? Professor O. I think it makes sense for Philly to be close but finish number 2. And DeAndre Swift. So I'm not adding Vic. He brought up DeAndre Smith. He said he doesn't do ish for them. Yeah, I didn't want to add the running backs to this list because I thought about it, right? Especially when I was factoring in the Chargers. Because when I looked at the Chargers, you got to go look at a guy like, and this could be a Kellen Moore issue too. You got to look at a guy like Shane Eckler, or not Shane Eckler, but Austin Eckler, who had 177 receptions for him. I think he had 177 exact. 170 plus receptions over the last 2 seasons. I don't know that Kellen Moore is going to emphasize him like that. I think they're going to be more of a downfield type of team. So his numbers might literally get cut in half. Last year he had 107 receptions. I don't think he's getting close to 100 receptions this year. But it's fair to possibly include him if you think they're going to use a running back like that. I think the Cowboys are going to use a running back this year. So Philly number 2. And then obviously number 1 you guys saw earlier, but we'll review it once again here. I have the Miami Dolphins as my number 1 passing attack the Cowboys will face this year, and flat out, this has everything, to be honest with you, to do with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think this might be the most dangerous tandem in the league. You could argue it being the best. You could say most complimentary, whatever. You could say it's not any of that, Scott. Well, that's fine. But Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are extremely dangerous. When is the last time we saw a team with this much speed between two guys like that? And not like, oh, our third and fourth guy comes in for 15 plays. No. These dudes are playing every snap. Reek and Waddle were on the field at the same damn time. And then you bring in Mike McDaniels, who helps get these guys open like that. They, to me, present the biggest challenge of everyone. Point blank, period. We know what Tyreek Hill can do. We know what Cheetah can do. He's done it throughout his career. Not only is he a deep threat, but because of his speed, and this is where not being just fast as a fast guy, we talk about this a lot with Brandon Cooks. He knows how to get open underneath. He knows how to move the chains. He was second in the NFL in first downs of receptions. Number 2, because dudes are scared of his speed, so he can stop on a dime, catch it, get some yak. In fact, both of these guys, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, top 5 in yak, the only tandem in the National Football League with 2 wide receivers in the top 5 in yak. But Jalen Waddle, another speed demon, saw him have a massive jump in production because of Mike McDaniels, in my opinion. Mike McDaniels, you got to remember, comes from the Sean McVay, Shanahan tree. He mixes their concepts with his own concepts. And Jalen Waddle in his rookie year averaged 9.8 yards per reception. That's terrible. Second year, which was his first with Mike McDaniels, that thing jumped to 18 yards per reception. That's ridiculous. That led the league by far for wide receivers that were starting wide receivers. Okay. Well, Sky, what about Tua? You ain't said nothing about Tua. Fair. Tua is not going to be he's not even probably top 5 quarterback on this list. But no, seriously, Tua is not the best quarterback on this list. He's not the most talented guy on this list. I get it. But if y'all remember last year, I talked about Mike McDaniels going to Miami. I said he's going to elevate Tua flat out. You know, no matter how you feel about him, he's going to be better. The issue with Tua, though, is he going to stay healthy? Because when he was playing and he was healthy, they were on a tear, man. They were running through the league offensively. And Waddle and Hill with Tua throwing a rock was tough. And now Tua doesn't have a great arm. I mean, we know he lacks the arm strength to get it all the way downfield. With all that said, though, these dudes almost had 1,500 yards together. Both of them, I mean. So Tua's probably the 4th or 5th best quarterback on this list. However, given the scheme and given the players around him, and the speed between Hill and Waddle, I think these two dudes are going to present the biggest challenge. Not saying it's a challenge we can't deal with. Not saying that at all. I'm just saying that speed is tough when you have one guy. Imagine having 2. And then combining it with a scheme that's going to help them. You know what I mean? So I got Miami at 1. I figured this won't be the most controversial because of Tua. But that's kind of where I got him at. Too high, too low. I mean, I don't know if you can say just about right, but too high or too low, just about right for the Miami Dolphins. And for those who might have missed 1 through 5, this is where I have everybody ranked. Number 5, Seattle Seahawks with Geno, Jackson Smith and Jigba, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. Number 4, the Buffalo Bills. Number 3, the LA Chargers. I think they might be one of the deeper teams from 1 through 5, but they might not be the most talented from the top. Nonetheless, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are still beasts. Number 2, the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they have one of the most blended top 3s in regards to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. And then I got number 1 just purely because of Cheetah and Waddle. They present maybe the toughest to prepare for because they are going to open up so many things underneath. It'll be up to the rest of the cats to kind of just hold their weight. And then obviously Tua Tagovailoa to get the rock to other guys if they need to. So that's my top 5. I can change my mind here. We can change my mind, move guys around, move teams around. Teams that might not be on this list. That's what I wanted to get to. Teams that might not be on this list that we mentioned earlier. Boom, here we go. So the three teams, I'm sorry, that I considered to put on here. The Jets. I thought about the Jets. I said, let me think this through here. Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, right? They went out and got Lazard, Cobb, I believe McCole Hardman. So they've went out and got some guys. I just don't think it's enough for me to put them over some of these other more established units. So I left them out. But you could argue maybe you throw the Jets in there. The Rams. You could argue with Cooper Kupp and Stafford, you can put them on this list. I don't know necessarily I fight you on that, but I don't believe in the depth from that list. And then Stafford to me is, I mean, he got his ring. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know that we'll see a MVP type of Stafford moving forward. That injury that he got was real. From what I was reading up on, is something that is always going to be sticking around throughout his career. So I don't know that Stafford is that guy. Nonetheless, it's a prolific duo. I get it. And then the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions were a top 10 passing team last year. So, you could argue putting them up there. Mon St. Brown, Jameson Williams, who's out though. Jameson Williams will be out for a couple games, 6 games, I think it is. But Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of the best slot guys. Jared Goff had one of his best seasons of his career. And then is it Ben Johnson? Is that his name? Ben Johnson, I think, is the offensive coordinator who I respect a lot. I love Ben Johnson's system. I think that's his name. I would love for them to incorporate some of the things that he does here. So you could argue maybe you throw Detroit in there. But again, I factored in everything. I factored in how top heavy is a team, how deep is the team at the position at wide receiver / tight end, and then the quarterback. I had to factor in the quarterback as well. So that could be a reason why you maybe move Miami. You say, well, yeah, they got 2 scary wide receivers out there, but I don't believe in Tua. That's fair. You can knock them down. But give me your top 5, Cowboys Nation. Your top 5 aerial attacks the Cowboys secondary will face in 2023 in June, right? Like guys can get hurt, guys can get traded, what have you, but in June. Tino says Debo and Brandon. Couldn't do it. First of all, respect Debo and respect Brandon Ayuk. I'm gonna make sure I say this right. I like Debo as an X factor type of receiver, but I don't like him as a receiver that much. Does that make sense? Like, he's a good receiver, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of what Debo does is more like running back stuff in a receiver's body. Good receiver, fine, but I damn sure don't believe in the quarterbacks going on over there. So I couldn't put them as a top 5 aerial attack to kind of, Sam Darnold. Couldn't do it. Trey Lance couldn't do it. I know Brock Purdy got in there and had his Jeremy Lin moment. We'll see what happens with the whole elbow issue. So I couldn't do it, man. Couldn't put them in there in the top 5. Vic's top 5. Okay, appreciate you. He says Bills, Chargers, Philly, Seattle, Dolphins. So you got Seattle jumping all the way to 2. I like their unit. I like Metcalf. I like Lockett. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba in that slot. 2 is pretty high, but that shows the respect you got. I respect them. I respect them just as much. I don't know if I'm ready to jump to 2 yet, though. I don't know, but that's a damn good lineup for sure. It's a damn good lineup. T-Dub doesn't believe in the Bills at 4, he says. So where would you put him? Off the list completely? Vic says the Jets are sneaky, but only Garrett Wilson, Amon-Ra's getting locked up versus us. That's the thing about the Jets is, I mean, I can't knock the cat that they got from the Packers, but Wilson and him, I don't think they're better than any duo on this list. The quarterback though makes things tough. San Fran, they have weapons, exclamation points, says FRK. Yeah, they got weapons. And honestly, if you talk about George Kittle adding into that helps as well. The quarterback, though. The quarterback situation, I just couldn't put him up there. So King Woods, this is top 5 aerial attacks the Cowboys will face. So if you go look at our list here, Kansas City's not on here. So we're just talking about teams that we're going to play. Andrew, I can't tell if this is backwards or forward here, but he just has Miami, Eagles, Bills, Lions, Chargers. I'm not sure how you have that stacked up. Trix has 5 Washington. That is interesting. 4 Seattle, 3 Eagles, 2 Chargers, 1 Dolphins. Huh. Washington is interesting. And I do like their young bucks. I do. Don't get me wrong. We believe in the quarterback situation there. No. Washington's interesting, though. And look, maybe I'm a little biased here. We always shut down my man Terry, though. Scary Terry get locked up. Maybe that's kind of why I say, whatever on Washington. Hey, 180, you know damn well he had his Jeremy Lin moment. Come on, man. Top 5. Dallas Sports got Bills. I'm confused here. Bills 1, Philly 2, Chargers 3, Miami 4. I can't put Buffalo that high. They're not deep enough, but I get it. Schiff believes the Jets duo is better than the Chargers duo. He says definitely more reliable. Maybe more reliable, but nah, I don't think Lazard is better than Mike Williams or Keenan Allen. So even if you believe Garrett Wilson is better than them two, I don't think Lazard is better than the other two. So I got Allen's duo. The Chargers duo better than the Jets duo. It's just injuries. And that's why I said I didn't want to play the injury game. Right? But I guess you got to factor that in. Let's see here. Gregory has Detroit 5. I think 5 can be swapped out a lot. Eagles 4, Jets 3, Bills 2, Miami 1. I think the Jets are way too high here. I think they're way too high. I wonder if maybe it's the Aaron Rodgers. Maybe I'm not respecting A-Rod enough here. You know, that could be a thing. Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Alan Lazard. Randall Cobb. But he is there, Randall Cobb. Mecole Hardman, he's there too. You know, fair enough. And Garrett Wilson's the one, right? Like Garrett Wilson. That's the guy. Everybody else is kind of like, But it's Aaron Rodgers. So I can see if you want to slide New York to 5, I ain't gonna fight you with it. But you putting them at 2 or 3, that's a bit high to me, man. Yeah. Check. Am I muted? Somebody said mute. Oh, no, we're good. All right, let's hit the phone lines. Let's talk to Marcus. What's good, Marcus?
What's good, Marcus? What's good up, my dude? What's good?
What's up with you, man? How you feeling today?
Hey, man, I'm feeling great today, man. I'm going to get some fresh air out here, riding in my truck and listening to you rock. And that's an interesting list, man. You know, I guess the Seattle one, and just from the way they played last year, you talk about a receiving core that's underrated. I mean, hey, I don't want to take anything away from Geno Smith. He still got to make the plays, but you talking about a wide receiver or a wide receiver core uplifting the quarterback. I think they did as much for Geno Smith. I know Geno's older now. When he came into the league, game with the Jets when they were, when he had his ups and downs. But hey, Tyler Lockett is very underrated. He and Russell Wilson, they played a lot of playground football sometimes when they passed it, but I can see those guys being underrated. Go ahead.
I agree with you. No. I'm agreeing with you. I actually started off the show saying I think this is one of the most underrated duos in the league because I think they complement each other extremely well. Now you add in Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm tempted to move them up. I can be talked into moving them up. The only reason why I fight back a little bit is because Geno. That's about it.
Yeah. Because Geno is the wild card. You don't know if that's Geno Smith or if that's them. I would lean towards the wide receivers. I would put them above Buffalo on your list. Only because, and I don't want to rag on Josh Allen, but if we're talking about the quarterbacks, I don't want to rag on Josh Allen because Josh Allen is overhyped to me. Not that he's not talented, but he's overhyped to me. He's been given a whole lot he hasn't earned yet. He's shown flashes, but he's turnover prone, and I hate to say it like this, but he's a white Cam Newton is what he is. People don't want to say that, but that's what he is until he proves otherwise. But I would put that receiving core above them. Stephon Diggs is having his issues over there because Allen, again, as much as Stephon Diggs helped Josh Allen out over there in terms of, reading and making throws and making plays and whatnot, Josh Allen is who he is.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you get him out of that if you don't put a running game behind him. As long as he's going to be free to be, quote unquote, Josh Allen, he's probably going to be turnover prone. He's probably going to be high risk and going to be high reward. So it's going to be hard for me. It's going to be hard to gauge him as anything more than what he is right now, a kind of a freak athlete that's playing quarterback. And while the league is really trending towards that and geared towards that, I wouldn't put a receiving core that he's quarterbacking ahead of anybody right now until you see something. That's just me.
I think what saves Josh, I don't want to say save because this is a talented quarterback. It's a really good quarterback. I think though what saves him in most of the masses is that he also makes ridiculous plays, right? Like he has all these turnovers, boneheaded plays, but then he balances it out with some plays that make you go, how the hell did he do that? So, and obviously he plays in Buffalo too, so he's not going to get criticized as much. But I think I agree with you. I don't think Josh Allen is going to change being a risk taker and a guy that, because he runs too, right? So this is a guy that fumbles a ton. He fumbles the rock a lot. He's trying to make plays. He's trying to fit the ball in tight spaces. I think that's going to be Josh Allen. You made a great point. If I was a Bills fan, I would definitely be like, hey, let's emphasize the run a little bit more. I'm not saying that's what we do. I'm saying let's kind of emphasize it a little bit more so we can use the play action a little bit and kind of be a bit more risk adverse. Yeah.
And again, as big and strong as Allen is, you're going to get him hurt. It's a matter of time.
He got hurt. Remember?
And he gonna keep getting hurt.
Yeah.
hey, man, this ain't. He's not playing against. He's not playing against people that's gonna be.
That's a serious
bagging
injury
groceries
too.
or selling issues. Yeah. He's a big dude himself.
Baseball fans. Wasn't that a? No, I'm asking a serious question. Wasn't that a Tommy John type of situation? Somebody correct me though if I'm wrong.
With his elbow? Yeah, with his elbow.
Yeah, I think there was like
a
a Tommy John type of thing. I mean, I could be wrong, but I know it was serious elbow injury.
Yeah, it was. But again, but he's young enough. I guess it's not a big deal as far as him being young and just country strong like he is. But we'll see about that though, man. I guess the fun one is going to be Kellen Moore and them over there. I've heard a lot of people say Kellen Moore is going to really rock because he's finally got a gunslinger, and Justin Herbert is ridiculous with his arm talent. But sometimes it's not about the arm talent, man. It's about the head space, operating.
A little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more than that.
Yeah, so we'll see. So we'll see about that too. But yeah, man, I'd like to listen. I'll keep listening. Thank you for taking the call. I'm interested. That's an interesting question. Is that Geno Smith or is that Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf?
I think it's a combination of obviously the talent, but again, Shane Waldron is their offensive coordinator who comes from Sean McVay's tree. So if you look at how they played last year, you see some of the concepts where it makes it easier for the receiver and the quarterback. And then obviously, Geno being in the league for 10 years or whatever, he knows the basics. So now you combine his experience with the talent plus a scheme, and you get kind of a breakout year.
Yeah, so let's see if they double up on it, man. Let's see if they double up on it. Well, not against the Cowboys. They can do what they want against everybody.
No, sir.
Not against the Cowboys. All right, money. I'll holler at you next time.
My guy, appreciate you, Marcus.
Yes, sir.
What Geno say, T-Dub? He said they wrote me off, but I ain't right back. Might be the hardest line of the 2022 season. Straight up. They wrote me off, but I ain't right back. I was rooting for Geno too. His whole situation in the draft, which he was overhyped. It wasn't that great coming, But he got drafted, I think, was the second round or something like that, and then had a tough career and turned it all around. Which again, man, a lot of people get on Pete Carroll, but Pete Carroll has this ability to connect with newer players and young players. And that's why I think he'll continue to coach in Seattle until he's ready to hang it up. All right, let's get to D Shift. Get his thoughts on the top 5 here and give me his top 5. Good morning, D Shift.
Hey, what's good, man? Man, this is a tough list, bro.
Yeah, it's tough. I know.
To
I had a hard time putting it together.
to kind of. Well, yeah, it is. Well, I can see why it's so hard for you to put it together because it's like, damn, they got good receivers, but the quarterback's average. You know what I mean? Or you're gonna have a hard time selling the quarterback, or and as we know, I mean, that list of like elite quarterbacks, man, that's kind of dwindling down by the day.
Yep.
And so, as I was trying to, in natural D-shift fashion, try to argue with your list here, I kind of had a hard time because it was like, man, this the rebuttal Sky gonna have if I say put this team or put that team. So salute to you, man, for even trying to put this together because it's kind of tough.
Yeah, if I would stretch it out the top 10, it'd been easy. But I wanted to make it harder, and I knew that by doing 5, I was going to leave out at least 3 teams because I wrote down 8 teams originally, and I couldn't put all 8 in the top 5. So.
Yeah, because I mean Geno has a lot of recency bias working for him and what he did last year. And if I can't necessarily, I can justify why Dak had kind of a lackluster performance, and I'm sure there's something that we can find or see as to why Geno just kind of had this breakout year after just so long. So, man, I'm not even gonna try to argue with you. Not today. We'll say that for later.
We'll save it.
We'll save it for later. But I do I do like the Lions, and I guess what the only thing about the Jets I was trying to sell. I mean, I know Lazard, he's not a guy by no means necessary, but I just that connection with Aaron Rodgers, I feel like the quarterback connection.
That's fair.
That's also something that's that's kind of important. But man, not a lot of arguments here today, honestly. I might put Philly back just because they do depend on their run game so much, but I can see why you put them too, just because those wide receivers and the tight end are so dominant.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people on that list who have top 10 wide receiver. I could say Devontae Smith is around the top 10, not quite top 10 yet, but he's around.
I mean, he's trending, 100% trending up.
He's trending.
We biased because we love Lamb, but look, I'm gonna be honest with you, Devontae Smith, it ain't like is some crazy thing to think that he's in that tier or could be in that tier as Lamb sooner rather than later.
Yeah, for sure. Now I think having AJ there kind of even kind of mask it a little bit, and I think if he was on a team with an actual quarterback, not calling Jalen, not trying to disrespect Jalen too much, but at the same time, he wins those legs. But I think he could flourish a little bit more, maybe. But I would put them. See, I hear you about the Bills and the depth, but I just feel like the Bills and Chargers. If I'm, if you're suiting up as a DB, right, game day, or if you're watching film, if you're a defensive coordinator, what are you emphasizing more? If you're trying to defend Buffalo and LA as opposed to Philly, that's my only thing. Like if you say aerial attack, right? How are we gonna get attacked this week? Are you more afraid of? Are you preparing more for Buffalo and LA, in their passing game versus preparing for Philly? I think that'd be my only thing.
Yeah, I think you're preparing for all 3 of their passing game, but I think differently, right? Or in Philly, you're like, hey, we got to watch the RPOs. We got to watch the play action, and these guys are taking deep shots off of that. Whereas, I mean, if I had to guess with LA with Boy Wonder, you're pretty much, I think they're going to air this thing out, right? From a deep standpoint, and then they're going to come back down and maybe dump it off to Eckler. But you gotta worry about bully ball with Mike Williams, Keenan Allen routing you up underneath, maybe Everett getting downfield from the slot or from the inline tight end spot, and then Jalen Guyton. Well, we don't talk about Jalen Guyton, but Jalen Guyton, the speed guy that gets deep, that might come back. He didn't really do it much last year, but they got Josh Palmer, another dude. They've got a lot of good talent with the Chargers, and then Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert. So I actually wouldn't, if somebody argued they wanted to move the Chargers up, I could listen to you there. It's just they don't have they don't have the Devontae Adams or the Justin, the Justin Jefferson at 1. They just got a bunch of really good dudes.
Yeah, I got some 1B kind of guys at the most. 2A kind of guys. I agree with you there, but yeah, it's a hard list, man. So man, appreciate you taking the call, and
Yep.
I'll be in these chats, bro.
Salute, appreciate you. So I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding. Slim, because Slim said I'm with you on talking about J Money. Why didn't the Bengals get invited to this party? So this is top 5 aerial attacks the Cowboys will be facing. Maybe I should have put that. I should have put that at the top of. We don't want that at the top of this, but I did put it in the description. The description says top 5, exploring the top 5 passing attacks the Cowboys secondary, or is it Cowboys defense? What I put? Okay, the Cowboys defense will face. It should say secondary technically, but nonetheless, it's about who the Cowboys will be playing. Because other than that, yeah, you definitely the Bengals. You could argue could be number 1. Yeah, but the Cowboys don't play them. Cowboys don't play them. We're not. Last year they did, but not this year. So hopefully that clarifies why you don't see Kansas City up here, why you don't see the Cowboys up here, why you don't see Cincinnati up here. It's about who the Dallas Cowboys are playing. We do not play Cincinnati. 808 Heartbreak. What's good?
How you doing, brother? Sonny from Hawaii, man. How you been?
What's up, Sonny? My oos.
Yeah, there it is, man. I don't really got anything to argue with your list. I would just change a couple things just because of like the X factors we have, I would say.
Okay.
I would just say I'd move the Chargers to 6, like right off the list.
Off the list. Who we replacing them with?
The reason being is because if you remember we faced them last year, the biggest thing I'm thinking of is Chargers O-line stability is horrendous. The problem wasn't that they didn't have the power to throw on us. The power is that they couldn't throw. Aaron Rodgers has a horrendous O-line and stuff. I would put Lions into the top 5 because they have a good O-line.
So
they have a lot of weapons and stuff, but
yeah.
How are you going to pass those weapons with our pass rush that we got going on?
So one of the caveats that I wanted to list when starting this at the top of the show, you might have missed it. I'm not factoring in the offensive lines. I'm just strictly talking about the weapons and the quarterback, and be honest, a little bit of a system, because the system does help a lot. Look at what happened with over there in Seattle. But I'm not talking about offensive lines. Now, if we do a top 5 offensive lines, which maybe we'll do when we size up the competition, I can just give you a spoiler alert right now. Detroit is probably going to be fighting with Philly for number 1. I think Detroit's offensive line is like that.
No, I got you. I apologize. I missed the first minute of the show.
No big deal.
But yeah, no. Well, then I would say that even I'd still put Detroit up there just because the weapons they have.
Yeah. Depending
on when do we face the Lions?
Week 17, 16, 17. I think week 17. Here it is, right? Yeah, week 17.
So at the end of the day, Jameson Williams being out, it's not going to matter what happen by the time we get there. I think they have more firepower than a lot of the teams on the list, and they just got the running back they wanted. That's their dual threat running back.
Well, I'm not counting their running back. So if we're talking about the receivers, you're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams. I'm missing one guy. I think he used to play for the Jaguars, didn't he? Let's see here. Depth chart. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds. I mean, I don't whatever. He's not that great. Marvin Jones Jr. went back. He's a little older, but a reliable type of guy. So their top 3 receivers would be Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marvin Jones Jr., and Jameson Williams. It's a solid unit for sure. Solid.
But I agree with Miami. For us, I think it's the things that hurt our secondary is just the speed receivers. A lot of the big play receivers we shut down pretty easy. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, when they do pretty pedestrian against us. It's those speeds, the Debos, Cooper Kupps, those type of players that we tend to struggle against our secondary.
If we're being completely honest, if we just go off of strictly weapons, I mean, San Fran, like we talked about earlier, the reason why I had a hard time putting San Fran up here because I don't believe in the quarterback. Sam Darnold. Jeremy Lin. No, I'm kidding. He ain't Jeremy Lin, but Brock Purdy had his Jeremy Lin moment. Trey Lance. I just can't put San Fran in here because I don't believe in those damn quarterbacks. But on the other hand, what if you say, well, Sky, you can't do that because what about the system? Some odd reason, no matter who they put at quarterback, they're still able to be productive. So maybe you could talk yourself into putting San Fran up there because between Ayuk, Kittle, and Debo, that's a fantastic trio of weapons. I just don't believe in the quarterback situation.
Okay, real quick bonus question before I head on out.
Okay.
With the teams you put on the list, where would you place us amongst them? Just putting us in.
That's fun. That's fun. So you're talking about Cooks, you're talking about Lamb, you're talking about Dak as your top, as the big three like we've been doing on here. I mean, I think they're obviously in this top 5. I have them above Buffalo. I put them above LA. I'd put them right there in that top 3. I think you can argue between, again, I know Miami, the quarterback situation, but damn it, those 2 receivers are just ridiculous. However, Cook's got the speed as well. I would probably put them. That's tough. I'll probably put them either 2 or 3 because of Goddard over there in Philly. But I take Dak as a quarterback over Hurts as a quarterback when it comes to passing the rock. Probably 2 or 3. I don't think I'm going to move off of Miami just because of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are just ridiculous. And then you combine the system. I just think they're going to be impossible to stop week in, week out. It's going to depend on Tua. But that's a good question. I think they're top 3, though.
Okay, I got that for you, Big Goose. I'm going to let you get back to it, man. Hey, great show. God bless you, brother. You have a good day.
Salute. That's a good one. I didn't think about that. Where would y'all put Dallas in this list? Hold on, come back. Come on back. Where would y'all put the Cowboys in this list? I actually have them above Seattle, Buffalo, LA. And then I think that's where the conversation begins. We don't have Goddard yet, right? Maybe Ferguson or Schoonmaker, which I don't think Schoonmaker year 1 is going to do all that. Maybe Ferguson year 2 does. I think AJ and Devontae, we're definitely comparable there. I think we match up there for sure. But then you say, well, where do we have the advantage? I think at quarterback. In Miami, let's just keep it a bean. I'm pretty biased in the sense of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. It's going to be hard for me to move off of them because they're just the problems they present are tough to deal with. However, Tua is likely the 4th best quarterback on this list. So you can argue that too. So I got 2. If you want to go with 1, I ain't gonna argue with you because Dak is better than Tua. So, but I think 2 is fair. 2, 3, 2, 4, 3. I feel you, AA Ron. I feel you, dog. Let's see here. Come on, Danny. Danny hates Schoonmaker. He says Schoonmaker will have a good year, age 29. Vic has Dallas at 5. I put them above. I think they're above the Chargers. I actually got them above Buffalo. I mean, I think when it comes to, you talk about quarterback, you talking about weapons, I think we got better weapons. Just do. That's a good one, though. AJ said, basically, AJ's holding out till we see how the new system plays out. Fair enough. Fair enough. Jay Money said 1. And Professor O got 2. I'm probably going to settle at 2. Some people actually drop Miami down and put maybe Philly at 1 or some other team. But I think Dallas, can slide in at 2 and feel comfortable. For sure. Good stuff. I knew this would generate conversation, which is why I wanted to start off our Sizing Up the Competition series with this passing attack. We're going to probably be moving all around the league or all around positions when doing this. And I don't just do this off the top of my head. I actually go and do some research and make sure that I'm not coming up with a list that I'm just throwing out there, but something that can engage conversation and that can make you and I think. Let me get to some of these super chats if I missed any. T-Dub said Coop, Lamb, and Cooks. What happened with Cook? Oh, if you're saying if we had Coop, if the Cowboys had Amari Cooper and got Cooks and obviously kept Lamb, yeah, I mean, this would be a no-brainer here. Number 1. The thing is, though, right? Yeah, I think we're good here. The thing is, I ain't even brought up his name, but if Michael Gallup ascends to being one of the top 3 guys, when I say top 3, top number 3 wide receivers, you could argue, you know, when you got 2 top 3 guys like that plus the quarterback, you could argue number 1. But again, we didn't include other teams too, right? Like the Bengals, I think the Bengals would be number 1, right? If we were to go across the league when it comes to Joe Burrow and then, you know, Boyd, Chase, Higgins, I think that's number 1. Because we've seen it. It's proven. There's no guessing. Which, look, I love the fact you got Cooks, but there's no guessing on, well, Cooks' first year or will Michael Gallup get back to form, et cetera, et cetera. These dudes have played together. They've won together. They would be number 1 to me without question. Fortunately, the Cowboys don't play them, so it doesn't matter. So that's my top 5. If I had to go best of the rest, it'd be the Jets. It'd be Detroit. And I'll be fair here. I'll go Niners because they do have the weapons. Don't believe in a quarterback. The most interesting one I saw was Washington. I think they have solid weapons. I think they have a really good one and solid weapons behind them. Obviously, Samuels and Penn State kid. Quarterback, no. Daniel Jones and them boys, I don't think they should make this list. Obviously, the Cardinals, no. Patriots, no. I'm still say no on the Rams. Yeah, they got one of the best receivers, but I think that's about it right now. So I'm gonna go no on the Rams. So that's my top 5 Cowboys Nation. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. We'll continue kind of this top 5 series across the Cowboys schedule. I won't say the league, across the Cowboys schedule. But it won't be tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll get back to specific Cowboys content and try to continue to mix this thing up from day to day as we are in this kind of dead period. Just to be honest with you, we're in this dead period, but we still got an obligation to you guys to provide quality content and not just any old thing. I don't know if y'all have been seeing on the 4-letter network here, the content, the topics, or whatever you want to call it, are ridiculous. And we're talking about top 5 lineups against the Monstars. I mean, what are we doing here? So I'm trying to avoid that. I'm also trying to avoid conspiracy theory type stuff and all of that. I'm trying to provide quality content here on a daily basis, which during this time is not easy. It's not easy. With that said, if you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor. Hit the like button on the way out. Sub up if you want to be a part of the Bomb Squad. You're trying to figure out why you can't join what I call the show within the show here in the chat on YouTube, I should say. It's because you're not part of the Bomb Squad, man. Hit the sub button. Share it with your friends, family, and foe. All right. Per usual, no show with Vach during this period, but he is dropping content throughout. Just dropped a fantastic video over on the volume and his page. I'm sorry, over on the Vach Lombardi channel. He's diving into different players and whatnot. We'll be doing a similar situation here on days we are off, but continue to go over there and support my brother from another Vach Lombardi Live. And then Mo, he'll be back on later tonight with the A to Z Sports Primetime Show. Hit me up on Twitter if you want to keep up with me, at Skywalker Still, and continue to support A to Z Sports Dallas on A to Z Sports Dallas.com with all the fantastic articles that they drop. All right. With that said, go ahead, hit this button, man. I like that, Swain. Hashtag push the goddamn button. I gotta get that as a drop. By the way, Toxic, your Rosie O'Donnell bit, Vach loved that. We'll have to continue that. Maybe he's not Catboy no more. Maybe he's Rosie O'Donnell. We out here, man. Love y'all. See you tomorrow morning. Peace.